Today has been the culmination of our third regional legal aid conferences. We've been moving around the country, and the last conference has been held here at Enro Hotel in Mitiana for purposes of getting together all the access to justice players from the judiciary, resident state attorneys, legal aid service providers, and other stakeholders. The purpose of this conference was to discuss that access to justice is not a myth, but actually reality.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome and address you at this regional legal aid conference, which is organized by the Justice Centers, Uganda.
The theme of this event reflects the growing recognition of the power and importance of bringing justice to the poor.
With support from our development partners, we thought that it is important to create a forum that brings together most of these actors within the administration of justice who are basically charged with ensuring that access to justice is real. One, to discuss some of the challenges and candidly, openly, really talk about how we can hold each other accountable. It is against that background that the Access to Justice regional conferences were started about a year ago.
These are the efforts of the government of Uganda to ensure that access to justice by the poor and vulnerable is improved. I believe all of you have heard of the saying that a poor person can never win a case. This is common in Uganda. People believe that justice is for the rich only. But this is not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. What may be true, however, is that where a poor person lacks legal representation, the inequality of arms in the legal battle may act against him or her, and he or she loses the case.
We hold two conferences each year, and we've so far held two, and this is the third conference we are holding with support from the Democratic Governance Facility. These conferences are held regionally using the structure of the Regional Coordination Committee of the Justice, Law and Order sector. We gathered in the first two conferences that legal aid is an important aspect of access to justice, and that is why we decided that this year we are going to look at how to make sure that legal aid for a poor and vulnerable person in Uganda is a reality, and that informed our theme for this year.
Today we had very fruitful discussions as regards the delivery of legal aid. We've shared experiences from the perspective of the courts, as well as other legal aid service providers when it comes to delivering legal aid for the poor. We've had a good discussion as regards who a poor person is, basically spread out in groups. One of the groups discussed who a poor person is in light of access to justice. The other group was tasked with defining, coming up with recommendations how we should move forward as regards serving the poor.
It is universally accepted that access to justice is a very important component of development. In fact, when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals that were recently launched, access to justice comprises most of the components therein: issues of equality, issues of non-discrimination, and in most international instruments, access to justice is taken as a very important component of development. When we look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, for example, and other regional instruments, access to justice is prioritized, especially for the poor and vulnerable. Nationally here in Uganda, when you look at our Vision 2040, access to justice has also been included as an important component. And we have initiatives within the country that are trying to see that access to justice is a reality for many. But in the course of our work at Justice Centers Uganda, we have realized a number of challenges to the full realization of access to justice.
Justice for Children is a program implemented by JEROS, and it is funded by UNICEF.
We offer services including legal advice, we represent these clients in mediation.
Receive complaints of all human rights violations from all human beings, from all Ugandans.
But the courts do not bring about this poverty we have. If everybody was rich, you would be able to access these courts. Okay? So we need to move from that to the causation. The institutions are just at the tail end. They are recipients of all these problems. So when you are looking at causation of access to justice, I think you must be broader than that.
There's so many.
We had three objectives, and one of them was to bring the institutions together, which we did bring. The second one was to develop a universal definition in the context of access to justice, really, a universal definition of the poor as we know in Uganda. It was interesting learning people's views on who a poor person is. While legal aid service providers have their own means and merit tests to determine who a poor person is, the additions that we have acquired from these conferences will help legal aid generally come up with very clear guidelines on how to identify, assist, and ensure access to justice for all poor persons in Uganda.
I believe the conference has been fruitful because the recommendations have been many. We come up with a list that we're going forward to the justice and law and order sector for purposes of moving forward.
We are going to put together some of these recommendations and share them with the powers that be. And in the next conference, we're going to review and see whether or not some of these recommendations have actually been implemented. In my view, we've gathered very good recommendations, and if they are all implemented, I think we are on the right track towards ensuring access to justice for all. We want to walk the talk now.
I want to appreciate the work of the Justice Centers for what they are doing, and other service providers. They are actually doing a very commendable job. Thank you very much.